Okay, welcome back. We're back to the frame for the Corvette C3. I told you after I got it all welded up, we'd be going get ready to do POR15. So that's what I'm gonna do today. I gotta go to work in a few hours, so I'm gonna try to accomplish this before I have to go to work. It might be counterintuitive when you see what you have to do to accomplish it, but the finish, in my opinion, comes out pretty good. So I'll take you through some of the stuff that I did to finish up the frame that we didn't cover last time. Okay, so here we go. Lower A-arm mounts. I did go ahead and weld just kind of a stitch weld on these just in case they get ruined and I gotta take them off. I didn't want to weld them all the way across. Did get the frame horns boxed in, and that is for your sway bar. It gives you some strength here, so when your sway bar flexes, it has good support. Motor mount brackets. Finished kind of getting rid of the stitch welding. Back here on the sombreros, we welded that mount so that I felt a little bit better about the strength. I did go inside and put a bead across some of the old crap. Tried to clean it up and make it what I felt a little bit stronger. Inside, we got our gussets on our gussets. I went inside there, tried to clean up those welds a little bit. Put this little tab on the bottom of the kick up. The frame's upside down right now, so you might not be able to understand it. Turn your brain upside down. So I've seen Mid-Year Mitch. He took this kick out and put a U-channel all the way from here all the way to the top to strengthen. I don't know if he's doing something pretty serious. I'm not, but I just felt like I needed it instead of just a little weak mounting spot right there. That's what the other side looks like. Other things that I did do that I wasn't planning on, which was mainly just put this little support from the rear cross member to the front of the sombrero hat, the top side of it. And what my thought was on that, I showed you where I put the weld across the bottom of the sombrero hat on the bottom. Excuse me. And up here, what the sombreros are, there's a support that goes across there, and with the Ridetech you replace that with theirs, and that's where the whole rear end pretty much rides, centers itself. So I figured if you're cornering and stuff, those are pretty thin metal. They hang out there quite a ways. Figured I'd just stiffen them up a little bit. Top of the frame, I finished up these. Smooth stuff down a little bit. Like I said, it's not a show car, it's not a race car, just a driver. I gotta flip the frame over, get it ready to wheel outside, and we'll start getting ready for prep. Okay, what we're doing is when you get the frame all cleaned up, you got more of a bare metal than a rust. You, with the POR15 system, you mix up some cleaner degreaser, and we got to spray it on, let it sit for like 15 minutes, rinse it off with a hose, and then put some metal prep on. And we got to let that sit for 30 minutes without drying, which won't have too much of a problem. And then you rinse it off. And then we're ready to bring the frame back in. We're using a spray bottle for garden stuff. Seems to work pretty good. And so we'll take the frame, get it all wet, kind of try to spray some of the glass from the glass beading out of the holes and out of the frame, so it doesn't catch moisture later on down the road. Reason why we're doing it today, I want to get it back inside and let it sit for a few days to dry out. Can't be any moisture on it when we go to top coat it or POR15 coat. Okay, we just sprayed the POR15 metal prep on it. Supposed to keep it wet with this stuff for 15 to 20 minutes, 30 if it was badly rusted, but it's not. I think they said it's muriatic acid. It's supposed to leave a zinc phosphate coating to help the POR15 adhere to it. So we'll give us about 15 more minutes. I did forget a couple things that I could tell you that I did that might help later on down the road for somebody. These are where the welded nuts were for the frame brackets for the bumpers. There was stock ones, and since I boxed it in, I made sure the welds were good on them, and then I also put some nuts and welded them in for the other two holes that you normally would have just accessed from the back side. But since it's all coated now and you can't get into it, I welded those nuts in. So when we go to put the brackets on the frame horns, we don't have to try to figure out how the hell to get a nut in there. You can smell the acid working. Kind of see a little bit of change in color on stuff. It's getting a little bit more gray. This frame I think is 50 some odd years old, and I just thought it was pretty cool that even these captured little tiny 1/4-inch nuts still can move around in here. So this car was garaged pretty good, and I don't think you'd see that much on any frames that weren't kept. I've seen some pretty bad ones. Lots of captured nuts on these. Everything's in pretty good shape. Only got one spot where there was a little bit of surface rust that you can see some pitting. Okay, she's back inside. We rinsed off pretty good afterwards on both of the treatments. It says that the second treatment that's supposed to etch works best at 70 degrees. That ain't gonna happen outside around here right now. One of the reasons, like I said, I wanted to get this done is it's supposed to be down into the single digits, possibly the negative, or next couple days, I guess. So that's it for this part. We'll go ahead and do the POR15 paint next. That'll be a day or two. Okay, we got the frame set up, getting ready for the POR15. We'll get that accomplished today. Shouldn't take too long. It is kind of hard to spread with just the brush, and that's what I'm going to do. Just brush it on, do the top side, then flip her over, do the bottom side. Then we can start doing something fun like putting all the suspension stuff on. But here we go. Something I did do to kind of help things out, I used ear plugs, and I stuck them in any threaded areas that I didn't want to get POR15 into. Put a little bit of anti-seize on them after I squoze them down to insert them. Put a little anti-seize carefully with a Q-tip on the threads also. That way if anything gets stuck, it's just the very top of the air plug and you can pull it out. But that'll make it a lot easier for not having to try to clean threads out down the road. Okay, that's it for putting the POR15 on. Doesn't look too bad. Came out decent. We'll flip her over later on today. It only takes a couple hours to dry. Start putting some suspension on, sit the motor in place. Well, we'll just put the block in place with a couple of things on it to mock up, find out where we gotta have our dimensions for like clutch alignment and Z-bar, that kind of things. Make sure our headers fit with the Borgeson steering box, that kind of thing. See ya.